The Theater of Dreams has harbored nightmares in recent years. After 13 unprecedented Premier League wins under Sir Alex Ferguson, it has yet to repeat its successes. The culprit? The American business tycoon's Glazer family. For them, it's soccer. For fans, it's always been football. But the Red Devils are finally celebrating as the owners are ready to sell the club after 17 years. Let's get in on all the details. First up, Glazers versus the Red Devils. The Glazer family has finally called it quits on their endeavors at Manchester United. They issued an official statement on Tuesday claiming they are currently negotiating strategic alternatives for executing the sale. Though, as you would imagine, the club comes at a hefty price. Looks like it all started to become a trend in the Premier League as club rivals Chelsea welcomed their successor to Roman Abramovich, Todd Boehly. According to ESPN, the Glazers are looking for an investment no less than what would make Manchester United the wealthiest club in the world. Will they follow down nosy neighbor Manchester City's route with Arab money? Just have to wait and see. Club chairman Joel and Avram Glazer have apparently stopped seeing eye to eye when it comes to strategy and believes now is the right time to pull the plug. The Rain Group Financial Advisors has declared open season on offers by not specifying the deadline for receiving offers. Expect a lot of the same buyers bidding for Chelsea now, eyeing an opportunity to paint their money red. After a 17-year-long ownership, Manchester United made quite a history under the American businessmen. However, we wish this was an emotional farewell. Coming up, good riddance. If you're a Manchester United fan, this news is nothing less than winning a trophy. Fans have expressed their feelings on the news, claiming it to be the end of an era filled with deceit and disgrace to the world of football. But what's behind all the animosity towards the Glazer family? Let's shed some light. One of the biggest reasons why fans denounce the Glazer regime is because of the club's condition right now. Over the past decade, the club was among Europe's most significant threats, and dark horses to win the Champions League season after season was struggling to qualify. However, the changes that transpired right after left little to be happy about. The club has won 6 trophies in the last 10 years, including a Premier League title, an FA Cup, UEFA Europa League, Community Shield, and Carabao Cup, which is abysmal considering their history as world beaters. As far as fans can remember, manager Jose Mourinho's reign was the last time they tasted glory. It was 2005 and the Red Devils were devilishly chanting across the Theater of Dreams, but this time the chants did not support any of the players playing. Yet the chants weren't in support of anyone but against American business tycoon Malcolm Glazer, who had cashed in on a beloved football legacy. Glazer's background? He owned the American football team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It all makes sense now. The Buccaneers won the Super Bowl when Malcolm set his sights on the club in March 2003 at a time when they were one of the most feared teams in the world. Win after win and trophy after trophy, it was understandable opposition from the fans who wouldn't let anything tarnish their glory days. The biggest red flag, and not in a good way, was that the deal was financed through liabilities from the get-go. The takeover saw United adhere to a debt figure now valued at £500 million. Fans had never even heard of such a thing before the Glazers came into the picture, as the club was debt-free. The Red Devils took it to the streets, already enraged by Glazer's antics. Who was cashing in on his loan through the fans' dividends? This money should be invested in buying assets for the club. The protests grew more violent by the minute. In June 2005, the police needed to intervene and de-escalate a riot. The Glazers were seen being escorted by officials through the player tunnel to safety. The fans' message was crystal clear and in red paint, Glazer out, before he barely got in. Following up with candidates. The chants will sound quite different after the Glazer family is finally out of the equation. Twitter broke down as fans were glued to the Sky News account for every hot take on the situation. Let's not get ahead of ourselves though, as the story is still ongoing. With an estimated £4 to £4.5 billion price tag, there is no shortage of buyers for a club that has established itself as a global brand. With that said, who will take up United's Iron Throne next? Let's look at some of the candidates. Welcoming the Red Knight. Looks like United has found themselves a knight as Lord Jim O'Neill has entered the chat. Belonging to the Red Knights group, Jim is a familiar name who tried to grab hold of the club in 2010. When asked about his desire to pursue the club at the $4 billion price tag, O'Neill didn't rule out the thought but claimed it was an extravagant ask. The Red Knight was calling the shots at Goldman Sachs, where he garnered most of his experience as as chief economist. Will be seeing an economical investment in the youth system? Who knows? What we do know is that, considering the current state the club is in right now, the owner needs to be someone who knows what they are doing and has ample knowledge of the game. Think we know someone who fits the bill. Are you ready for Buy It Like Beckham? Beckham, 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 come to see Beckham. And boy, would we love to see club legend David Beckham bring back the glory days for Manchester United. According to sources, David Beckham is open to talks with bidders on acquiring the club. Currently, Beckham is already the owner of the American club Inter Miami FC. Fans went bonkers hearing David get in on the headlines for Manchester's next potential buyer, though the deal could be a fantasy, as Beckham certainly cannot afford the club alone, unless a partner bidder chimed in on the deal. This would make a lot of sense, considering Beckham has breathed the United DNA since he was a young footballer. The veteran could be a breath of fresh air for the upper management, giving credible input on the club's decisions. Something that is lacked in now, you-know-who's tenure. If all that doesn't work out, we guess there is only one way to go. Now, Arab money. It has become quite a controversy amongst fans who criticize clubs such as PSG and Manchester City for buying success rather than making it all alone. Whatever may be the case, at the end of the day, these clubs are currently ruling over Europe. One can also accredit Manchester United's downfall to have started after the Abu Dhabi United Group bought their blue neighbors for just $360 million. There is no denying that the Middle East has money to spare, with Manchester City spending an estimated €1,699 million over the past decade. We'll let that sink in. That's what buys you being the owner of England's most decorated club in recent times. Who knows, maybe it is time for Old Trafford to make it happen before fans desert them. Speaking of deserting, there is a man who fans are already applauding for being a whistleblower for the club. And finally, Ronaldo's exit. It's been a crazy month in the world of football. The biggest reason is Ronaldo's pipe bomb interview with Piers Morgan, where he exposed everything wrong about the club. The interview featured Ronaldo's frustrations on how he was mistreated by the management at a time when all he needed were friends to help him get through a rough patch in his life. Being very blunt, the Portuguese forward said that the Glazers don't care about the club and treat it as a marketing cash cow. The timing couldn't be more perfect, as the first domino fell and it all led to Glazer's departure news shortly after. It was bittersweet as we all saw Cristiano's exit on the horizon. Fans are calling the legend a fallen warrior for the club. And speaking of impeccable timing, where one Manchester legend ended his story, another wished to continue his across the city. Former El Clasico rival Pep Guardiola has now signed a 2-year contract extension with Manchester City. Ronaldo was apparently close to joining the Blues in 2021, and a report by The Athletic claims that had the deal pulled through, Guardiola wouldn't have inked the contract anytime soon. Whether it is because of some flashbacks of the El Clasico days, or Pep's love to keep Erling Haaland as the club's primetime striker instead of Ronaldo that would have influenced his departure, is up for debate. Pep will probably be keeping an eye on any Arab investment for the neighbors. For the Glazer family, fans' feeling for them were made abundantly clear when they made their first trip to Old Trafford. And that's a wrap for this video. Who do you think will buy Manchester United? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the next one.